now. One of the raw ones from last week. I froze it. I've been eating this pizza for like 2 weeks now. Shit's crazy. Rash rats, baby.
So bad stream if he wasn't
it
walking around at the intro.
It wouldn't be if he was not. If he was in the chair, ready and waiting right now, it would be a complete shocker.
All right, are we on? I thought I had more time. I gotta
We're on.
answer my. What's going on, everybody?
There he is.
Hello,
welcome everybody.
Shalom
to yet another episode of Complete Chaos.
Episode 100 right now?
12. 100? Yeah, 112.
Woo,
I believe is the correct number. It is 12, right? Now I'm second guessing. I believe it is 12.
We're
gonna go with that. We'll correct it in post if it's wrong.
Perfect.
But guys, we have a lot going on, and we have the right guy to talk about it. Obviously, I'm talking about Ken Nobby, but we also have Ryan 6 days a week as our guest. So Ryan, very, very welcome to the program. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. Some big news this week. Big news last week too, and it's just a lot of exciting things happening for Dark and Darker.
We skipped our podcast last week. We should probably iterate that. And I think so did the Darkest Hours. So there hasn't been much coverage on the previous patch and the upcoming patch. So we have like a lot of stuff to dive into today.
And absolutely
can't think of a better person to break it down with than Ryan, because he's pretty good at these analytic things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not.
And if you haven't, Ryan 6 days a week actually put out a massive recap of the dev Q&A with One Peg, about 15 minutes long. Perfect watch. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I did not watch the interview, but I did watch that video, and it was short and condensed and perfect for my attention span. So thank you, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Awesome video.
But yeah, dude, where do we even start? There's so much. Should we start about the patch from last week that we didn't even touch on, like the small changes, or should we just dive right into the Q&A?
I'm done with that. Yeah, that'll be a good place to start.
I mean, there's still a week to wipe, so I think we should cover what is now and then lead into what is coming.
Fair enough. Where do you think we should begin with that patch? In my opinion, that patch was kind of a bit of a nothing burger for me personally, but at least Haste is good again.
No, it's not.
It's not good. It's not good, dude.
Yeah, revert Haste.
So bad.
Make self buff.
God, can I just go on my wizard rant already?
I'm
sorry, Ryan. I'm sorry. Ryan's
here.
here.
Wait.
Yeah. Ryan's here.
I want the wizard rant because it's part of the patch notes too. I mean, we could start there.
It's so bad, dude. I'm playing it 12 hours a day, and I'm sweating my ass off. And I have 270 movement speed and 78 HP, and I'm getting run down by one Francisca axe, one crossbow. I'm getting killed by throwing knives and poison. I cannot survive a fucking raid unless I have a barbarian in front of me. Wizard feels so bad. All right, I'm over. I'm done. That's all I got.
All right, I'll pick up where you left off. Speaking of bad stuff, you got the warlock and the wizard out here just on a whole nother level of struggle bus. I'm talking, these feel like the two worst classes in the game for solos. Maybe in duos they have a bit more leeway, but man, are they getting annihilated. The stat change again. I've been playing about 12 to 16 hours a day. No, actually, I deleted both my warlocks. I love warlock. I used to be the Duke of Warlocks, but after all these recent changes, I just deleted it because the truth of the matter is every other class has significantly more HP and range damage, and they need to give warlock throwing knives or the crossbow, else it will never be a viable class because they're getting outranged at mid and above. And once you're hit by a crossbow, you've already lost the fight. It's too late. They're coming. They know they're up, and they're on the way. And when the stat changes happen and we split strength from everything else, we'll see what happens. but the output damage from ranged classes makes the skill-based casting classes, I'm talking Warlock and Wizard, irrelevant. Everybody else is on a point-and-click adventure, and those two classes have to have gear, and you have to be really good at the game to play them. And they're going to get landmined by traps or rogues, so they face the most hazards across the dungeon.
To add on to your point, people have a very big misconception. They think that Warlock and Wizard are ranged classes. You're not. You have a very small window where you have an effective range. You're pretty fucking bad at long range. You don't want to be in melee range. You have like a pocket of like mid to close range where your spells are effective, like they're in range and like they can't be easily dodged. And it's such like a fine balance to like play these classes. And like you just get outranged by fighters with crossbows, by bards with serve bows, obviously rangers, rogues with hand crossbows. All right, we're gonna go on the fucking rogue rant too.
Let's go.
They'll save it for later. Crossbows are busted though. Dude, they've been nerfing them. They've been nerfing them every patch for like 7 patches straight now, and they still I think they're just too easy to use. Like I don't even think it's like a numbers thing. I think it's just like they're just point and click, and someone's half HP at any range, and they have to fix that. But
that's how we fix it. What's the recommendation?
I'm nervous that it's not going to get fixed. Even with the stat changes, I think people will just still stack strength. It's still damage. We need to take ranged damage away from strength, at least on crossbows. Like, it makes sense for a bow because your strength is how far you pull back the bow and release. But for a crossbow, it doesn't make sense. Or what I've told my chats is we need Counter-Strike or Valorant mechanics for ranged. If you are moving or jumping, you should not be able to shoot in a straight line exactly where you want that to go. You need to crouch and shoot like any other shooter in the industry. And I feel like that fixes it right there.
Actually, that's actually a very good idea.
Idea.
At close range, maybe it would still be accurate, but you wouldn't be able to move and like shoot at long range. I like that actually.
What about half the damage, but triple the armor pen? Because there's got to be something to counter PDR, right? That's the crossbow's function. Is that a bad idea?
Wait, what? You're gonna triple the armor pen to 60%?
Half the damage. Half the damage.
Oh, half the damage though.
So like, because like historically speaking, a crossbow is supposed to be like an armor piercing weapon. Same with like longbows and stuff. So like, it makes sense thematically, and rangers and bards and stuff. They need ways to get through armor, or else we're gonna run into the raid boss fighter issue like we've had previously. Must have a problem now, but like armor pen weapons is like the counter to that strat. It kind of keeps them in check. So yeah, that does kind of make sense. But the armor pen on it's already good. It's already like 20%, right? It's like 25, 20. It's already
20.
pretty damn good. So I mean, I don't know, 50% armor pen is kind of crazy.
Yeah, plus,
wild, yeah.
Then you'll get rangers who have the armor pen or skill on top of the inherent armor pen. Then they're gonna basically be punching right through everybody. It's hard. It's very hard to balance. Maybe give it the rogue treatment. So in order to take a crossbow, they need to take a perk, at the very least.
I think it's just too easy to use. I just think, but I like your suggestion of if you're moving, you're less accurate. I think that solves a lot of the problems. Because nothing's worse than like fighting a fighter that's like 100 meters away from you, and they're just like quake strafing with their crossbow, and like eventually they're gonna get lucky and hit you, and they have infinite ammo, and reloading's not even a problem. So yeah, I think the accuracy would probably fix it, or you could really up the damage drop off at range. Like they've tried that in the past, right? With Rangers, they keep changing the damage knockoff, but it feels like it's not working. Is it just me?
It doesn't feel effective at all. Like I feel like you're still doing like 90% damage from any distance.
I don't understand if it's maybe I'm a wizard and everything that touches me destroys me, but I feel like no matter how far a ranger is or a fighter is away from me, I'm taking full damage from these shots. It does not feel like the damage drop off is noticeable at all. So I'm not sure if it's working.
This is a really hot base take, but what if we just remove crossbow? Because fighters can already use all the bows and throwing weapons with a perk. Bard can already use serve bow, and rangers have a bunch of bows as well. So possibly just remove crossbow entirely.
Well, as someone who has recently taken up the wizard crossbow meta strat, I kind of
Wizards can use HCBs now. You get hand crossbows. Congrats. You do rondel hand crossbow.
I like crossbows. I mean, I don't like dying to them all the time, but I like that they exist, and I like them
Same.
thematically, and I like
Mhm.
that they're around. Their
Yeah.
numbers just have to be adjusted.
Maybe just cut the damage by like 35% to start with and see how everybody feels. Like that's probably the easiest way to change it.
It's just the best weapon in every class. Like, I'm like no meme. I have been playing Ignite Crossbow and Wizard for like a week straight because I need a ranged weapon as a wizard because your spells aren't effective at 100 meters like all these other weapons are. It's like no troll actually good. But
So
yeah, I
more
think that'd
damage
be-
drop off, more difficulty aiming while moving. A while back, I think we talked a little bit about having some kind of exhaustion mechanic. So not full blown stamina, but the longer that you're holding a knocked arrow, for example, so some kind of fatigue, basically, that would make it more difficult to shoot.
Mhm.
Could we see something like that maybe being applied to the crossbow as well,
Or
just by default?
even be slower with the crossbow out would help too.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call on that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Or some of the reload. Like, how do we feel about the windlass? Is the windlass crossbow in a good place?
Yeah, I like that they have to stand in place to reload it. You only have like one chance with that compared to crossbow where you're just reloading and firing before they can even close the gap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like anything in a game that can one shot you,
Mm.
and the windlass crossbow does do that, but I feel like it comes at a high cost. Like using a windlass crossbow is very cumbersome. You're very slow. You have one shot. If you fuck it up, you're out of the fight while you reload. Like if there was going to be some cheesy one shot mechanic in the game, windlass is the most balanced version of that. But I just don't like one shots in games in general.
Yep. That's fair.
I agree with that.
Hmm.
Also, that fucking slow on windlass, I'm not sure what the numbers are. It feels like 35%. It's crazy.
It might be.
Getting shot by that thing feels like a stun.
35. It's 55%. 55% for
my God.
2
Get
seconds.
Out.
It's crazy.
Bye.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
You are
Does that-
frozen with that.
Does that stack with crippling shot, dude? Can we get like 80% slow?
Yeah. All right. So speaking of slows and crossbows, what about an artifact crossbow that's effect roots you in place for 1 second when you're hit by it? Just straight rooted. Like you're bound by a cleric bind, and that is your new artifact crossbow. Congrats. That's worth like 50 gold keys from the rip.
Homesteads, if we get this thing before we get a wizard unique, I'll be pissed. I'll be pissed. Even though it would be a wizard unique.
You could use it, yeah. That's
it
wizard
would.
artifact. There you go. Oh,
So
that's
hear
true,
me
yeah.
out. Hear me out. Dude.
Mhm.
I precast intense focus. I swap with the crossbow, hit him with my bind crossbow ability. They're
Mhm.
stuck in place, and you quick swap to your wizard staff, and you hit them with the instant cast fireball while they're binded.
They're dead. That's
While we're
over.
talking. Yeah,
Congrats.
It's
Yeah.
super fair and
Beautiful.
balanced. I like this.
Yeah.
Well, remember, artifacts aren't for balance; they're for fun.
You're right. Artifacts are supposed to be broken.
So speaking of things that are broken, let's talk more about the Wizard's Fire Mastery. Ken?
It's not
okay. It's
broken.
it's fine.
I
if
thought
it was
wasn't
working as
working.
intended.
I heard that it was not working as
Oh,
intended.
that
Well,
broken.
okay.
That
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of broken.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
legitimately not working, not
Sorry.
broken in a OP way.
You
Sorry.
say broken,
Yeah.
my brain goes to Rangers, my brain
Yeah,
goes
sorry.
to Rogues, my brain goes to Barbarian. You
I'm
meant
sorry, I'm
actually
old. I
not
still use the
functional.
word in the way that things are not working. Yes.
That's crazy.
So how bad is it? How bad is Fire Mastery actually flawed right now and
Well, it's,
bugged?
it's not bad, but it feels like it's definitely not working as intended. And if it is working as intended, it's dumb. So but if you guys don't know, Fire Mastery now applies a 50% healing debuff. I believe it's 50%. I'm not sure what the exact number on it is.
That's right.
But like generally speaking, how that would work in every other video game known to man that has a grievous wound system is you hit a target with your grievous wounds debuff. That target gets 50% reduced received healing, which is how it reads on the Fire Mastery tooltip, but that's not how it works. Basically, how Fire Mastery healing reduction works right now is it reduces the outgoing healing of the target. So if you want to reduce the healing done by a cleric to the barbarian, you have to hit the cleric with the Fire Mastery.
Right. Okay.
Which makes it way worse because like the cleric's all the way in the back line. It's like sitting behind these big beefy barbarians. It's very hard to hit them with the healing debuff. It would make way more sense to be way more powerful if like you could just shoot the barbarian and they're taking reduced healing, or the fighter their front line. But like as it is, your zap has like 20 range. Hitting a long range fireball is like super hard. So like if a cleric is good and smart and like properly sits behind their front line, you're not really getting much use out of Fire Mastery.
Does the
I
splash
think
damage apply the debuff as well?
it
I mean, if
does.
okay.
It does. You said you could do it. It's just it feels like it's not working the way they want it to work because it's worded how it should be worded on the tooltip that the target is receiving less healing, but it's not how it's working in game.
That was in their patch notes too. Healing received by 50%.
Not working that way.
Yeah.
So I think if it's an oversight, I'm sure it's on the radar, and I hope they fix it because as it is right now, it's still not bad. Like I still use it. Like I make it work, but I don't think it's how it's supposed to work. And if you're a new player coming into Dark and Darker and you read that, you're like, oh, this is how this is supposed to work.
Yeah.
And then you hit this guy and you're like, why isn't it working? But yeah, we'll see.
Well, you brought up
I like
Wizard's
the idea of
Haste.
it.
Sorry, I'm moving on unless you want to camp a little bit more.
No. I'm saying I like the idea of Grievous Wounds though. I like that
me
they're
too.
adding it.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I think it's a good way to add power to a class without inherently buffing their damage. And I don't think we have to be very careful with giving classes more damage in this game because one-shot meta sucks. But sorry, I'll let you continue.
No, you're good, man. You did mention Haste earlier and how much you love it. So that covers the Wizards updates, right? The Fire Mastery and Haste was about all that happened for Wizard. Ryan, let's talk fighter. How do you feel about the fighter changes? We had Second Wind reduced in skill tier from 6 to 5, I believe, which helps Gray Campfire regen. Is that right?
Oh yeah, you could regen with the worst campfire now.
That's got to feel pretty good.
It's honestly, it's a little bit too strong. Like 24 gold, and you could literally get honestly, you could camp in the darkness for so long now. Second Wind, Campfire, Second Wind. Be a little bit too strong. Like when they reduced it down to 40%, I even thought that was too high. I would go with 30% on Second Wind.
Okay.
And then maybe even reduce Ranger healing too. I know we're not on that subject, but
yeah, no, I agree on that 100%. We got Soapy in the chat over here, and despite
Fire Mastery doesn't work on Second Wind. Just saying. It doesn't work on Second Wind. It's ridiculous. How is it? It's counted as regen or something. Not even dude.
Oh, geez, it's not counted as healing. Oh, that's awful. Jeez. But
thank God we're getting a test server.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hopefully soon.
So Rangers didn't get any nerfs. They got a buff.
Just in time.
Yeah, we got Soapy in the chat here. Soapy was in on Ryan's stream earlier, and it's really funny because as sarcastic as he is a lot of the time, he is very genuine when he was on our program about saying that he believes wholeheartedly they need to nerf Wizard. And for him, selfishly,
Wizard.
I think sorry, did I say Wizard? Ranger.
Another one. Give him another nerf.
Yeah. Nerf the Ranger so that he can be a more effective archer, right? Because he's not a Ranger. He is an archer. He does not use melee weapons. So, yeah, the Ranger biscuit, Ryan, getting back to the original topic at hand before my ADD goes too wild here. If we nerf Second Wind down to 30%, what do you think we need to do to the biscuit? How much less health should it return? Or should it return the same amount but have a different duration or impact time, I guess, or effect time?
I think healing is fine. That's like what, 25, and it scales with physical healing. Maybe bring down a charge. Like, I don't know. In this game, I am always concerned with methods of self-healing. Mostly because I play solo. So like any class that self-heals has an incredible advantage. Like, it is insane, especially now that time to kill is way higher than it once was. So I don't know. I think bring down at least a charge from the Rangers. Bring down Second Wind to 30%. Have some sort of maybe self-healing reduction even on cleric casts. I know they brought down the charges of light heal, right?
Yeah, it's down to 3 now.
It's down to 3 now. So that is a start. But yeah, in this game in general, I know it's not supposed to be balanced for solo play specifically, but self-healing is it's incredibly strong.
Do you think that there's more players playing solo than any other mode? Because I do, and I feel like we should theoretically balance primarily around solos.
I think
Hot
so.
take.
Yeah. I
Yep.
actually did a poll not too long ago. Let me pull up the results because I remember seeing solos pretty high up there. I'm not sure if it was more than trios, but if you divide trios by 3, the teams were way lower than solos. But I was shocked by that poll. Shocked by the results. I was also very shocked by the lizard poll. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but green lizard's the most popular skin out of the lizards.
Get out of here.
Blows my mind. I thought it was
Just
gonna be blue. 100%.
Blue Wizard Gang for sure. Absolutely blue.
That's what I
I
thought.
like that each of us are different, as I represent the Red Lizard gang.
Yeah, like the Crimson Coven, you know.
I've been putting them to work. They're indentured servants now.
I got
More
them all.
blues and greens.
We bought all the skins, dude. We switch it up. We don't hate around here.
Good content though. The
Yep.
Great Lizard War.
No doubt.
But-
I did a good job. I was glad to
Mhm.
hear in Terry's interview with One Peg that they feel good about the implementation, hitbox wise at least, and that they are now, as I told Ken, really considering putting dwarves in the game. And Ken is most excited.
I'm so hyped for dwarves, dude. I play dwarf in any game that I can. I play a dwarf. So if we get dwarf, we get the new icy map. It's gonna be so cool, dude. I want to be
yeah,
a little dwarf, be a dwarf wizard with my ale, dude. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna be mining my cobalt. It's gonna be great, dude. It's gonna be a good time.
What would
So
be the
excited.
penalty for that skin, you think?
Just only be buffs, I think.
Triple HP, quadruple the move speed, triple jump.
I mean, dwarves are naturally have a debuff because they're gonna get headshot more than any other class. Yeah,
How
think
about
about it.
+1 strength, plus 10% mining speed, negative 2
50% mining
agility.
speed. Dude, I want the mining speed so bad.
Or I guess
it
you
would
could
be
just
so
do
cool.
resourcefulness, like plus resourcefulness, plus
Yeah.
vigor.
I really wish
Yeah, they get bigger.
like
That seems
with
good.
the races, I wish like the changes, the difference amongst races, like the stat lines was greater and more drastic. Not just like +1 strength, -1 agi, plus 20 armor, no head. Like I want like big broken differentials amongst the races.
And how much are we talking here?
I don't know. I just want diversity amongst races in the game. Like when you play World of Warcraft, there is a huge difference between having like your orcish racials and your dwarf racials or your sweet night elf passives. Like there's big differences when you play different races in games. And I mean, Dungeons and Dragons, it's huge.
Yeah, for
And this
sure.
game is so based on that. So like
Yeah.
I think they can lean more into it if they really wanted to. I feel like they're playing it very safe.
For sure.
I think the Lizard has been the biggest risk they've taken, and I think it's a good step. I think it's they're getting more confident. Hopefully, that leads to more extreme changes in the future that I'm excited for.
I mean, with
Right
you
on.
saying that, I can definitely see them adding a third ability slot that is tied to race. And it doesn't even have to be anything that drastic. Like say it's I don't know, a button on the keyboard, let's just call it Y. You push Y as dwarf, and now you mine 50% faster for the next 60 seconds, and then you get that back when you campfire. Lizards
Oh,
can
you mean a
breathe fire in
racial
front of them.
passive?
Yeah,
I would
like
love
an
that.
actual like an active
Oh, yeah.
ability that every race gets except human, and then just boost humans like abilities up a little bit. Like they get +1 strength, +1 agi, and that's it. And then everybody else gets just something small. It doesn't have to be drastic. Like a lizard, you breathe fire in front of you, it's just 5 damage, but it looks cool and people like having it.
I dig
It-
that
it-
idea.
It could just be like another QE slot, but racials, and you could
Oh,
pick
true.
you could pick from multiples from your race. Like it'll be your third QE, QEY, whatever you want to call them, your skills. But your racial skill, and you could have one. And like I said, the lizards, they have 4 you can choose from. You could have the fire breathing one. You could have the tail swipe.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
You could
Ooh, I
have
like
I like tail swipe.
you could have the no helmet armor, whatever. Just like you could pick something. These are just dumb examples, but
So
it would create unique classes and play styles. I think. Sorry, Arcane.
I love that idea, actually. And I said passive. I meant what you're describing, Josh, is active, right? So you've got your passive stat changes between the races, but what you're suggesting is an active ability. A little while back, I was theory crafting like around the idea that every class should have a radial wheel, right? And I for me personally, like I love playing casters because I love have something to do with my E, right? Using the wheel is one of the more fun parts of the game. So one of the ideas I was kicking around was having a unequipped action wheel. So for every class, whenever you don't have something in your hands, your right mouse button doesn't really do anything for you, right? It's just left click to punch. Until the monk comes around, that might change, right? But if when you're unequipped, if you use right mouse, could that bring up an action wheel of some sort? So maybe that, what you just described, Josh, would work in that context if you had multiple racial or class abilities to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the wheel as well. I just recently started playing Bard, and it is fun to have the wheel in the classes and to have choice.
Mm-hmm. The wheel is definitely good. I was playing, what was the game called? Star Siege. It's like a linear action shooter sci-fi game. It's actually really shit, but their tool belt is like a radio wheel. You could like put all of your potions and heals and shields on a radio wheel, and then you hit E just like you do for spellcasting, and that pulls a radio wheel for your tool belt. And I was like, that's a pretty cool system. And I wonder if like these classes that don't have spell books and stuff, if there was like a more interactable way for you to like access your spell book with a radio wheel or something, or maybe access your extended backpack with a radio wheel or something along those lines. I don't know, but that's just an idea to think about. Huge, it would be huge quality of life.
Same with Greed is good. They've got the radio wheel on like left and right for your like utility, and then another for your throwing. I like that quality of life a lot. It makes it very easy. Although I guess for Dark and Darker, it makes sense. It's more like you're reaching into your backpack to pull out like your next items to place onto your belt. And so it kind of does work for this. And once we get dynamic backpack, we'll have even more spaces to pull things out of.
I'm excited for that. So maybe we jump into that topic. What do you think dynamic backpacking is going to look like? Because they mentioned it right in the interview, like roughly, like they have backpacks in the works and they have quivers in the works, but they didn't really give too many details. What do you guys think? Maybe we'll start with Ryan. What do you think they're going to do with backpacks?
Oh, man, when they said they want to tie resourcefulness to it, that's what kind of threw me off. Because I know way back they had like a little snippet of the weight system. Like they had that little like stat that was in your character screen. So I'm hoping it doesn't have to do with movement speed. I'm hoping resourcefulness, kind of like what Sobet said, like the speed that you interact with your backpack, either taking it off or pulling items out of it. But the fact that they said they want to tie it to resourcefulness is, I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. If it was agility, I'd be like, okay, they're pulling the weight system in, or agility or strength. There's going to be a weight system that involves like reducing your movement speed based on how much strength you have or agility you have. But the fact that they specifically said resourcefulness was going to be the main attribute that interacts with the backpack makes you think that it's just going to be like opening, pulling out, taking off. And it's going to be maybe give you more access to those hidden inventory tabs, kind of the blocked out ones at the bottom of your inventory.
Yeah, that would be cool. That's what I would like to see. What I wouldn't like to see is like to have some Tarkov garbage system where you go over 40 pounds and you're walking around at a snail's pace and you need like better backpacking strength to like carry heavy weight. I think stuff like that is very immersive and it works in Tarkov. But at the end of the day, it's just a huge inconvenience. I really would not want that. But if it's just like a backpack that takes the space of your cape, that gives you more inventory slots, I think it shouldn't be a large amount. It should be a small amount. And like backpacks could have stats on them like capes, but less than capes. So capes would still be best in slot for combat stats, but you can get some quality of life stuff from backpacks. Or maybe backpacks are just like cape slots and you get resourcefulness from them. I don't know. It could be anything. I hope. I kind of like the idea of what you said of unlocking the hidden slots. I think that would be very cool.
Yeah,
I want more inventory space.
Like I think I haven't really measured them, but I think they're 3 high. So I imagine the quiver is going to use those same slots and be like a dedicated arrow storage.
Yeah, I thought those were going to be quiver. That's my first thought was quiver. I was like, oh, that's where arrows are going to go, or like a potion bag or something.
Man. I don't know. How about you, Scott? Got any ideas with the backpack? Because you play pretty strength heavy characters, right? Well, I guess maybe cleric's not strength heavy.
No, I mean, yeah, cleric not that strength heavy. Bard and cleric, and I played a little bit of warlock after the patch or the hotfix 20, and wanted to try out the dark magic warlock and see how the ray of darkness fared, and it's still garbage. But yeah, so I'm curious because I think, I mean, this might not really hit to the root of your question about backpacks specifically, but I am curious if they do use resourcefulness as the main attribute. When you combine that with the fact that they're adding 2 new stats into the game with vigor and dexterity, I have some concerns about how they're going to deal with the enchantments and all the rules on the existing items. I think it throws all of the current rules out the window, and they're going to have to do a fair amount of rebalancing in the way that things roll, because resourcefulness will definitely be pretty sought after for a lot of people, and I feel like they're going to have to change some of those rules on the way that things roll right now.
Maybe it's a good segue to just dive into the attribute changes. So what do you think is gonna like? You think is gonna fundamentally break like the balance wheel of the game if they add vigor, dexterity, resourcefulness? Like, what do you think is problematic
I
about
think it's
that?
fantastic. First and foremost, I think it's a great change for the game, but I think it's just going to be another challenge for them. And my main concern is they might deprioritize it development wise because they have so much going on, that when they release those stats, and Ryan, I think you did confirm that's happening next week, right? That's not out in December. That's vigor and strength, or vigor and dex are coming next week, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the attribute
Okay.
change will happen next week.
So when that
Yeah.
happens, and we'll find out pretty quickly. Like, does that immediately change all of the enchantment rolls on all of the gear? Like, have they really thought through how to rebalance gear with those two stats in mind? And then once backpacks come in and resourcefulness is much more sought after, and I feel like should be a little bit more ubiquitous, are they going to be able to deal with gear appropriately? That's my
I
main
see. I see
concern.
what you're saying. I get it
Yeah.
now. Okay, I see your concern. Well, just to play off of that point, I think gear is already in an awful spot and already is miserable and bad. So might as well just
Really?
throw more into. It's not that it's like egregiously bad. Like I can stack so much damage and one shot people. It's boring. I keep talking about like, putting on gear, at least from a wizard perspective, is very boring. There's no stats that I really could chase. There's no like amazing legendaries I'm excited for because I only have like one or two relevant roles that I want on pieces. So going after pieces that roll 5 attributes, even if it's the best 5 in the world that I could possibly get, I'm only looking for 2 of them. So the other
Yeah.
3 are just like of no value to me. And I think that might be a wizard specific thing. If there are 5 stats that wizards want, but there aren't 5 stats that roll on the same piece of gear
Sure.
on for wizard, because like
Mm.
the way they changed around what stats roll on certain pieces, like I can't get flat magic with magic power, I can't get strength, I can't get int rolls on my knowledge bases. Like it's they have to do some adjusting. I'm not trying to crucify them right now because they're working on it, but as it is right now, I do not feel like gearing is exciting. I think they need to do a lot of work on it in general, so you might as well throw the new stats in now before you start doing all this balancing and before you start doing all these changes, and figure out all the stats that you want in gear in the game, and then start messing around with the balancing and the scales and all that. So I'm happy it's coming. I We've been talking about strength and agility on this podcast for months now.
Yeah.
We've been saying that
Oh, yeah.
strength is just the strongest stat on every class, on cleric, on barbarian, on fighter, on wizard, on rogue, on ranger. Like just everybody just wants strength because health is so important in this game, and it also gives you damage. And it's long overdue. We have to separate health from damage, and we're finally there. I wasn't expecting the dexterity and agility. I'm happy they're doing it, but
Mhm.
I thought that was like a way less egregious offender. But I am so happy that they're pulling the trigger because I think that's also a huge change. I
Yep.
think it's going to be way harder for these classes to just stack all different kinds of attributes. So now your barbarians that want to have 45 strength, they're going to have 8 agility and they're going to be slow and you can kite them. And that's like, that fits the
Yeah.
theme of the barbarian. The barbarian is supposed to be this big, formidable tank, zug. Like they're hard to kill, but they're not going to run you the hell down with 400 movement speed. And I
Right.
think now we're
Right.
gonna get that. So I'm very, very excited.
Well, you just made me think of a really good point there, Ken. So I do think this is going to be really good balance wise for the game. It's going to impact the melee classes the most for sure. I feel like this is almost when Terry went over this, I was like, this is an immediate buff for the caster classes, right? It's definitely going to force the melee classes to pick a few, or pick a certain direction or try to balance it out. And then if they do balance it out, it's going to give them lower caps for damage and health. But given what you just said about gear, how are they going to balance this? You know, because you're already saying right now, gear's kind of boring. Do we potentially run these melee classes? Do we run the risk that they're going to feel the same way? Or is Iron Mace just going to have to figure out a way to make it more interesting?
So I think the problem is actually way deeper than gear. I think so. Maybe this might be a bit of a rant here, but I think Iron Mace has been trying to solve their time to kill issues by nerfing gear patch after patch after patch. When in reality, instead of just nerfing what stats can roll on gear, I think you have to address time to kill in other ways. I think classes just need more health. I think you have to like go into the stats as a whole and like just lower the damage on like spells and so weapons and bows and arrows and rarity things. And instead of trying to fix the problem by balancing your gear, I think the time to kill issue is way deeper than just gear. I think like them changing gear feels like a band-aid on like a bullet wound, and they're kind of making gearing boring by fixing it this way. I just wish they would just go into their code and be like, all damage is minus 20%, and then have the old gear, or minus 50% and have the old gear, whatever it is. So I like longer time to kill. I really do. The longer a fight is, the better. But
Yeah.
gear feels not. It is powerful for some
Unexciting?
classes. Unexciting. It's just like I this wipe particularly, I have not like strived to get any good gear because for me it just doesn't exist. I think it's
Ryan?
different for other classes.
What's the fighter's take on this?
Oh man, dude.
Well, fighters love gear. It's different
Yeah,
for
I was gonna
fighters. Yeah,
say.
fighters love gear.
Oh,
It-
and you
Very
guys
gear
have
dependent.
all of the gear, and you can shop for it too. You can just go to the weaponsmith and go to the armorer, and you have all kinds of gear that you can shop for.
Yeah, no, I'm in a similar boat as Ken because right now there really isn't much gear diversity. Not in the sense of like the maximum strength and minimum strength, even though that I think that is a problem. But everyone's running the same build, and I think if they're focusing on changing these modifiers instead of focusing on adding more spells, skills, and utility items, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with the direction. 'Cause I think there should be broken builds, but I also think there should be hard counters for everything in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take on it. I think gear they did have to reduce it and like reduce the difference between max gear and min gear a bit. I did think they like may have gone a little bit too far. That makes gearing not feel that rewarding. Even for fighters, I would say there's not much diversity in fighter builds. But I do think that if they revert the gear changes, then they should definitely have more ways to counter like the ultra tanky, ultra high damaging, crazy builds. Maybe not with like an equalizer, like not an op, not a one-shotter, but there should be more systems built in to provide outplay. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's kind of a ramble, but
Yeah, so yeah, Ryan had a good point where he was talking about like build diversity. And I feel like 2 patches ago, before like the big gear changes, I would have like 5 gear sets in my bank, and they would all be for something different. They'd all be for wizard. Like I would have the flat magic damage crystal sword set that I'm like, oh dude, I can't. I'm trying to build this set specifically to ignite crystal sword people. Then I would have the magic powers set and will stacking that I'm like trying to get as much buff duration and magic power as possible for my big high base damage spells. And then I would have like my strength stacking rondel build where I'm trying to get strength and PDR, try to get like 40% PDR wizard, and like go around stabbing people with a wizard rondel dagger. And I would try to get my weapon damage, crossbow, throwing knife build. I would have all these different cool sets for unique play styles. And right now on wizard, there's like you just have one set. You just get the correct base types of decent rarity, and if you're lucky, you get some magic power or strength on it or health, and like that's it. There's no, it doesn't go any deeper than that. And it's easy and simple, and like maybe it's okay from like a time to kill balance perspective, but I lost a lot of indirect content trying to build unique specific gear sets for unique play styles. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of classes lost that.
yeah.
I agree. I think everyone, like Ryan said, everyone's building the same exact sets, and they're all close enough. It's all about strength. physical damage bonus or move speed. It's either agi strength, and then everything else basically doesn't matter unless you're just memeing and going for like resourcefulness or regular interaction speed for mining. But we've talked about it a lot on this podcast, as well as adding other roles to make the game a little bit funner and to have more random things like plus luck, plus demon slaying, plus undead slaying, just like a litany of random things that you're like, oh, like it's either a dead roll for you, or you're like, oh, cool, like I got, whatever this is. And then we could also, I think we talked about it before, add sets, especially because the devs like Diablo. Get some sets in there, and then when you finish your set, X happens. You have like 1 thorn damage, or we got to keep it low because this game's time to kill, like you guys mentioned, is fast. But I sort of disagree with you guys. You say that fights are longer, maybe like a little bit, but when you're at the upper echelons of gear right now, the fights aren't any longer than they ever were. When I have Centaur's Madness and Spear of Rot, I'm still 2 or 3 shotting everybody in the game, like almost without fail.
It is still pretty bad. I still think
Yeah.
it is better, but not. It's not where it should be still.
Right. And if they have
And-
Demon's Glee into Rogue, like you're just deleted.
That's because my point. Like the core problem is deeper than just gear. They just I've been saying it for a while, and I'm gonna say it again. Just give everybody more health. Just give us all 50 more HP, man. That's at the fights. Like if someone like I know, fighter and barb would be so busted with 50 more HP. Doesn't matter. The game would feel better. Then they could balance it accordingly after that. It's just I don't.
Well, we're at end of wipe. I've been
Yeah.
saying it for like multiple months. We need some end of wipe events and to shake this shit up. Plus 50 HP every class for 2 days.
I really
we
hope
can buy artifacts for
servers.
candy. Yeah,
I hope
test
they
server.
hope on the test servers they do extreme stuff like this and really test. Like use the loyal player base that you have right now to figure your game out, because eventually this game is going to be on Steam, and if it's not figured out by then, that's going to be a big problem for this game.
Yeah.
Like
But
we're going to play this game no
directionally-
matter what. Just
Yeah.
use us.
But directionally, we're on the right. So I'd say we've been talking a lot about balance and a little bit of classic complaints about our least favorite things. Let's move on to a bunch of the positives that we're about to run into next week. I'm talking adventure ranks and making HR more
Quests.
consumable for everybody. We got the big quests on the way, and let's dive into that a little bit. So Ryan, can you start us off with your thoughts on whether or not the new adventure point system is going to bring more people into High Roller? And do we think that it's still going to cost gold to go in there, or is it now just a flat adventure point entrance? And then you're just going to be stacking, trying to get titles, cosmetics, and stuff for the next season.
I'm hoping it's purely adventure points as the entrance currency. Because right now that's the biggest like demotivator. Like people are like, all right, I'm gonna spend 100 gold or 300 for the group, and sometimes we're surviving the run, we're doing everything correctly, and we're not making a profit. And they're like, why do that instead of just farm noobs in normals? Like it doesn't make any sense. So I think the adventure points are, I would assume that they're gonna completely replace the gold entrance fee. I hope they're gonna go that direction, because that will definitely encourage people to go high roller. Basically no risk to go high roller if you're not too concerned about getting the cosmetics. But for those sweats that care, like everyone in this call right now,
I'm a casual. I play normals.
no, I mean, skill wise, we could survive high roller, and I think that is a big motivator if there's gonna be like any kind of cosmetic rewards based on your adventure points. Like they could delete leaderboards entirely and just have like cosmetic rewards. And I think that'll encourage people of at least our skill level to like constantly grind HR. I don't know. Maybe that's an overassumption.
So to catch me up, so what's the plan with adventure points and queuing for high roller? So I kind of missed a lot of the information.
No,
All right.
you good.
So what we were shown is that you use adventure points now. Let's just say everybody starts at 0. When you go into High Roller, it has an adventure point cost, most likely based on your rank. Say you're like a rank 3 veteran adventurer. Now it costs you 50 adventure points to go in, and then you get adventure points over the course of your dungeon for player kills, monster kills, boss kills, opening chests, like a whole litany of things.
So like VA kind of.
Like VA, like veteran adventurer points, exactly. And then at the end of your raid, it breaks it all down like I don't know what to compare it to, but it shows you like you did all of these things, bunch of stats, you gained 380 adventure points. And then there's thresholds throughout the season. Let's just say there's 5. When you hit, let's say 10,000 adventure points, you unlock a permanent cosmetic. At 15,000, now you get 400 gold starting next season. So when it wipes, you will have 400 gold. And they said that they also want to connect that to gold coin chest and gold coin pouch. So if you're actually going to HR and you're doing, let's just say, fairly well, you're leveling up, you're ranking up, and then next season you'll start with a bit of a boost, which makes me think that more people will want to go in there, even casually, just to get rewards for next season.
That's interesting.
Mm.
And you said like they might have plans for having these VA points or whatever they're called, adventure points, to queue it for high roller instead of a gold fee. Is that what we're talking about?
They didn't mention that, but because it costs adventure points to go in, it
Mhm.
makes me think that that will replace the gold fee.
That's
That
the
makes
impression
sense.
I got too.
That's what I'm hoping.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Whatever gets
Yep.
rid of the gold fee. Gold fee is fucking stupid. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, every time I say this, people are like, but you're going to have so many naked people in your high roller. Remember when they didn't have high roller fee? So if people don't remember, when they did that? They did the free HR at the beginning of a season. They wiped the game and they're like, free HR. Of course, everyone's naked. It's the first 3 days of a season. And everyone's like, but everyone's so naked on the first. Of course that is. No one has anything. No one has anything. Like, that's your sample size. That's just frustrating. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it'll be a massive improvement. I'm only curious about how they're going to do that initial level, Josh. So, like, for the lowest rank, is there just no cost? Like, does it cost 1 adventure point? And I was thinking that maybe there's a scenario where normal dungeons allow you to earn like a max of 5 adventure points so that you could go to normals a couple times, get 10 or 15 adventure points in order to get a buy-in into HR. Maybe that's something they're considering as well. But I don't know. That may be a little bit too oppressive because I could see
whatever the
scenario
numerical
where-
value is. I feel like whatever the numerical value is on queuing up for high roller, you should get that 100% from killing a boss in normal. So say it's 100 adventure points to go HR, you should get 100 points adventures for killing a boss in normal. So like even if you like don't do anything that raid, but you guys go hell and you guys kill a boss, you are free rolling your high roller. But there should
Right.
also be other ways to
Yeah,
get it.
I
I
was
think
thinking just like 2
Yeah.
extracts. Like if you get 50 points
Mhm.
for extracting in normal, you extract
Mhm.
twice, you got 100 adventure points. Okay, you just got a ticket to go into HR.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked free to me, to be honest. It looked like, let's just say it costs 10 to entry in that first rank. I don't think you can go negative. So, like, I think you can just perpetually go in no matter what, always. It's just at the higher ranks, you'll start to derank if you do poorly. That
Okay.
was my take on it. Because in the sample
Okay,
they
yeah.
showed, it was 10 to enter and they'd gained like 380 from just playing the game.
Yeah.
And so I think that it'll be pretty easy to boost yourself up the first couple. And now
Yeah.
that we have MMR, I'm guessing that your adventure point rank will put you in a bucket with other people of a similar rank, if possible. So
I hate
at the
that.
start of the season,
Yeah.
everybody will be together. But let's just say by the mid to end of season, a lot of the sweats will just be in the top, like elite, adventure rank. And that will allow people who haven't played yet to then just be playing with like a bunch of other people who haven't really done a lot of HR. And in that system, I actually think it's good. If we only have like 2 or 3 buckets, I think that would work for MMR. Because then if it's easy to climb, you still have a wide, amount of people playing. It's not like you'll be
Mhm.
seeing the same people every raid. And like most ranked games, it will just pull, if it can't fill, it'll just pull some other people. And, it won't be any different than it is now that much. But
I
yeah,
hate MMR.
I don't know,
hate it.
going forward with all of this, and then for Christmas, getting the ice map, test server, druid, etc. I feel like we're well on our way. That like let's just say a year from now, we'll have an actual release 1.0 with Steam and consoles. I think by then we'll have more than enough content. We'll have hideouts. We'll have probably like 100, 150 quests, probably like 5 to 6 maps, and like 13 classes. At that point, I think it'll be a go.
So on the topic of quests, since you brought it up,
Mhm.
I'm excited for quests. I think quests are hands down the most important thing they could do to this game. And I'll try first. Like, what are some quests? Like, what kind of quests would you like in this game? What kind of direction do you think they should go with questing in this game? I believe they mentioned like they have 30 or something done. They're gonna be very basic, like go find this, go kill this, X, Y, and Z. Obviously, that's a good starting point. But what's like stuff personally that you think would be interesting, and what would you like to see?
Dude, honestly, imagine player bounties.
Okay.
Imagine you're assigned, you're just given like a class, right? At the start of the lobby. And you're like, you got to kill this person. Then once you enter in, it'll give you like, okay, maybe not usernames, but because that's going to be stream sniping, but you're assigned to kill someone and you're given like a general location of where they spawned. I think that'd be tight. Maybe it costs like 150 gold a bounty, 200 gold for a bounty.
So there's this old game, it's still live today. I played it. Someone played it. Someone hates it. Called Mortal Online 2, and it's like a big sandbox full of MMO. And the game's hot garbage. Okay, but they have this bounty system that's really cool. That if somebody in the world has like a large amount of murders, for instance, maybe somebody on the leaderboard, then all of a sudden the bounty dealer, you can go there, you can pick up a random bounty. It'll give you a random bounty of some murderer in the game. And then you have to go kill this guy, collect his head, and you hand it in for money. And then you get like these they're crows, like bird crows that you release into the air, and it'll tell you the target is 1,000 meters west. It won't give you an exact location, but it'll kind of guide you roughly in the direction for you to find them and hunt them down and kill them. And I don't know, you said bounties, and that's immediately what I thought of, because that's the one thing that game does well, is the bounties are really cool. And I think bounties in this game would be really cool. I think if players specifically could put bounties on other people, like say, I play with So Bad for a couple of hours, miserable experience. I hate playing with that guy. I want to put a bounty on this bozo's head, and I got some extra skrill. I'm gonna put my little 1,000 gold bounty, maybe some cobalt powder, whatever reward I want on the bounty board. Someone can pick up the contract. If they bring back So Bad's head, they're getting paid out. That would be a cool way for players to make content that's like a low development fee, like a low amount of development for a high amount of content, because the content would be very replayable and the players would make the content.
Yeah, definitely. Because
Sorry
right
for
now,
that tangent.
oh, no, that was perfect. That's like, that summarized it so well. Like that would be the dream quest right there. Because the quests now, at least the ones that were pitched, they're simple. They did say that they're gonna start with simple quests, but they seem very cheesable. Like it seems like we're gonna be completing these quests very, very quickly. Especially like, the kill one, or like the retrieve this item one. A lot of these players are just gonna hop on like a low pop server at like 2 a.m. local time. They're gonna farm the mobs and then just finish all 5 quests in like a day. But yeah, player-based quests, PvP quests, there's a lot of potential, a lot of replayability for that.
I was
What do you
really
think,
excited
Arcane?
to hear that they have a writer, a dedicated professional writer on staff. They didn't just say, hey, Bob, on top of the other 20 things that you're doing, go ahead and make a few quests and throw in some of the backstory along with it. So that gets me kind of geeked. I would really, so one, I love that idea. I love the player content generated stuff. I think it would also be really cool to have D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, of course, oriented or themed type quests where maybe they're based around race, class, and alignment. So if you're playing a lizard, then maybe your goal is to go hunt. Like if you're a red lizard, maybe you need to go hunt a blue lizard or green, right? And to do that with classes as well. Like if you're a cleric, yeah, I mean, clerics going after rogues, right? Like I would love the ability to choose like an alignment of my cleric to say, all right, if I am a neutral good or neutral cleric, then I can hunt people that have said that their alignment is a chaotic evil rogue or something like that. And I know we don't have alignments in the game, but that's kind of.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Sorry, just to interrupt.
No,
you.
you're
I
good.
had to. But it would be cool, just like a tangent. I just thought of randomly. If you know how you have the alignment, like you have the red names and the blue names. What if you got different quests based on whatever your alignment was? So you're like, you have a dark red name, you have
Your
a whole
karma?
different quest line. You
Based on
have
the
quests
karma.
that are, your quests are evil quests. You have quests to murder people, do devious things,
I
and
like
like
it.
you got the blue name. You have all these lawful quests and the different. You have to do all these. You have to go into a raid and you have to help some Timmy extra, whatever it is. It's like stuff like that, like based on your alignment. That'd be cool. Sorry to interrupt you, but you're kind of on
No,
that.
that's perfect.
Theme.
No,
I
that's
like that. Yeah.
very
But
good
yeah, you
tack on
can
for
continue
sure.
with your point. I apologize.
No, you basically hit the home run at the end there. That's exactly the kind of stuff that I would like to see in a quest system for sure. But I think what they're going to bring to us next week will be great. I mean, I can't remember, Ryan, maybe because you made this great video, which, by the way, I don't know that we really gave Ryan a formal introduction or a worthwhile introduction. That's probably on me. I always assume everyone in the community knows who Ryan is now, but if you're tuning in for the first time and are not familiar with Ryan, he is an awesome YouTuber who does fantastic data mining and analysis videos and just really in-depth guide related videos for Dark and Darker, explaining a lot of the fine points of the game and mechanics, and does so in a very simple yet thorough and easy to consume way. And they're always S plus tier production value. And yeah, just can't say enough about how much we all really dig your videos, man. So yeah, I think where was I going with that? I got myself completely off track. Why did I
We
get
were
myself-
talking about quests.
Quest.
Yeah,
yeah,
quests.
but yeah, I went off track. So oh yeah, so Ryan, you just built the video. Great video on everything that's coming. There were different types of quests. There were fetch quests, kill quests. Do you remember all the different categories that were rattled off?
Yeah, fetch, kill. There was one, briefly mentioned was achievement quest. I think the example that was given was kill boss X amount of times. I think it was like kill Ghost King 10 amount of times. And I think those were it. Yeah, it's really simple. So fetch, hunt, or kill, and achievement based. Oh, survival, I guess, was another one, but
Okay,
I assume that just means extract a certain number of times.
gotcha.
But the screenshot itself, I mean, it was very, very basic. It had like 3 different treasures, and you turn those treasures to the collector. So imagine the other quests would just like have thematic items. So maybe like the woodsman, you bring, I don't know, maybe like a wood item, and the armor, you bring like a bone or something. I have no idea. But
One of the things. Go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say that they're probably just gonna be simple like that, I'd imagine.
I think to start with, it will be that, and then they'll definitely expand on it further and further, probably bringing us closer in line to Tarkov style quests. But the part that I liked is that a lot of what they mentioned for the quest next week is that it will be found in raid required. We can't just buy bones to turn into the whoever for the bone quest. You will actually have to have found in raid items, which was I think thoughtful and a good way to make those quests feel more at home, because you'll want to pick things up that typically you probably would not do. And I like that idea a lot. I think they also mentioned survival quests either in the future or at some point. And so there's been some memes about it on Reddit with like woodsmen making you go sit and swarm till you're at 40% health and then come through and like kill a wizard with a headshot. Something like that I think would be a huge challenge, but it's just another form of content. And you put that at the end of the chain, right? Like you get all the most meaningful rewards and then put some really hardcore quests in, for us tryhards or people who just really want to finish. Especially because if the season is 3 months long, and like Ryan said, I think a lot of these quests we could probably finish in a day or two. And so it would be nice to have some like really long quests at the end, just to like, keep wanting to grind for.
I like that.
No, I'm excited. I like that they're starting small though. I think they're
Mhm.
just gonna put some basic quests in to make sure stuff works, and I think they should expand on it greatly. I think this is the most important thing they could do for their game. Like classes are cool, abilities are cool, like that's cool content, but having a functioning, in-depth, interactive, rewarding quest system, I think is the most important thing this game could do. I think Tarkov hard relies on if Tarkov didn't have that questing system that it has, that game would have died. I'm sorry, Tarkov fans. I'm a Tarkov player. I'm a Tarkov fan. The quests keep that game alive and keep it replayable and give people things to do and keep them logged in and playing and striving towards something. And they should really take a page from the Tarkov book and really work on quests, really work on them, because it's super important in my opinion. And I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Well, boys,
Agreed,
we're
yeah.
already over an hour, almost an hour, 10 minutes in. There's still a ton more that we could talk about. I kind of want to switch it up a little bit before we end. I mean, there's Josh, I know that there was a ton from that interview that we still haven't brought up that you can keep us positive at the end here, but I want to take a little different direction. Is there anything that didn't come out of that interview or from the recent dev Q&As? So basically, if you watch Ryan's video, he kind of laid out and synergized all of this stuff between what SDF said, what Terrence said is coming next week, and what's going to be in December, January, and then way off into the future. Out of all of that, if we consider the entirety of the roadmap, is there anything that we feel like is still really missing that's not balance related, none of the stuff we already talked about? but is there anything that's really missing from that roadmap?
Did they touch on skills at all? Like
Talent trees
adding
were
skill talent
mentioned.
trees?
Talent trees
Did
were,
it-
I think, targeted for
Yeah.
December, January, right?
That's the Christmas update. It's supposed to be like
Yeah.
either multi-classing or training tab
Yep.
oriented.
I'm not sure. I don't think nothing that's like huge content that I was looking forward to that they didn't touch on in the
Yeah.
video, at least.
I
Trying to
really
think,
like
though.
Ryan's video because he mentioned obscure things that were left out of the dev Q&A that I'd
Mhm.
also been curious about and looking forward to for the far-flung future. Let's just say Q1, Q2, 2024, like guilds and the adventure hall for your guild, which is kind of like the guild cosmetic place. And then another thing that I really liked, which I think will be easy for them to implement and we will be surprised when it drops, was alchemy. And they mentioned that you can get herbs and then craft potions.
yeah.
And I think that's
Right.
something everybody could do. It'd be easy to add some plants somewhere on the map and you just like push F to gather them and then you can make potions. So things like that. But honestly, they did a good job showing us what's coming next week and then really hyping up the Christmas patch. The only thing I want to say negatively is that I thought this was going to be like the true content patch, like patch number 2. And from like a smaller perspective, just to be like a little pessimistic, if we think about quests and the adventure point system for HR, it's not real content. It's just things that we're going to do that we're already doing. So it's something like we will go for in the maps themselves, but it's not actually new content. And so I was
No, there's
a little
systems. Yeah.
surprised. Yeah, but like thankfully they said they're really pushing for Christmas.
Right.
So hopefully we'll just have a 1 month wipe. Or what is your guys' thoughts on the wipe schedule? Because it feels like we're gonna wipe next week. And then wouldn't we have to wipe in Christmas if we get Druid, Ice Map, Auction House, Talent Trees? I feel like we're
If
looking
you
at a
do talent
30-day
trees, you have
wipe.
to wipe. Yeah. I think if you do
Yeah.
talent trees, you have to wipe. Yeah. Everything else, I don't think you have to, though. Introduce Druid, fine. New map, fine. You don't need to wait for that. But if you're gonna do skill talent trees, yeah, you gotta wipe.
They can wipe every day. I wouldn't fucking care. But I understand. I am the minority in that. I understand people get grind fatigue. I do too. But I don't mind playing from zero. I don't mind starting over ever. I don't get attached to my pixels. I don't get gear fear. Like I don't get attached to my items. So they can wipe as much as they want. I won't care personally. And I think people should kind of get that in their brain that this game is early access and they're going to wipe a lot. And while they try to balance things, they try to add new things. They try new things out. Like I think people should get it in their brains and get used to the fact that we're probably going to see a lot more wipes than we should have on actual game release because they are doing so much. I think
Fair.
they plan on doing what 3-month wipe cycles was what I heard when
Yeah.
like it's all done.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we're nowhere near that right now.
Right.
Like not even close. Like so and also I think they really should maybe do 1 3-month cycle when they're close to done to see how things feel over a long term. Because we don't really have a feel for what a long wipe would feel like because we haven't had one. I'm not sure would the game feel stale. Would like it really feel bad at the top end 2 months in when everybody is rocking full bis never miss gear? Like I don't know. I don't even know what I was talking about, but
No, I like that you went there. That's interesting to me because I think you get the same thing in Tarkov is that a lot of your sweatiest players will take a vacation or like go somewhere else or play something else, like let's say mid or late wipe, and then they'll come back for the end of wipe events and the start of the next wipe. But that's like the natural, it's cyclical, right? And so I think in that time, it's good though, because if your sweatiest players leave, let's say at mid wipe, that gives the newer players a chance to become the sharks and to learn the game. And so I do agree with you. I think 3 months will feel like a long time, probably. But hopefully by then we have enough repetitive content where it won't matter. Like if we get guild wars and if we get private servers, especially the test server, just to dive back into it, they said they want really awesome of Terrence. So they said for the test server, they want to initially try solos as a crypt map. So we can drop solo into crypt. A lot of
Love
people have
that.
been asking for that. That's super double thumbs up. And then they also want to try a solo self-found mode. So those two things already alleviate a ton of what the community has been asking for, even if it's like in the far-flung future. It just shows that they're listening, and I like that a lot.
I love solo self-found mode in like games like Diablo, games like PoE, and I think it could work in this game. I really do. I keep saying I don't think it should be a separate queue. I think it should be an entire. It's forced on everybody for a season, for a one wipe. If they want to do it, like I don't think you should segment it as a portion of the player base. I think it should just be everybody as a whole. We are doing a solo self-found league. This is the no trade league, and we're gonna see how it feels economically, balance wise. Have at it. This 1 month period, go have fun, figure it out. We're gonna use this data. But if they do solo self-found, they should not segment it. I think it should be everyone. That's my 2 cents on that. I love solo self-found. I really do. It's such a fun way to play the game. Like people who play like permadeath runs right now in Dark and Darker, they kind of get that soft experience where you're not trading, you're just playing with the stuff you get. And when you get a piece of gear that's good, it feels so much more important than just a monetary value. And I'm not sure if you guys have like any experience playing solo self-found games, and if you would like to see solo self-found in this game for a season, maybe. I think it would be good. But what do you think? What do you think, Ryan?
No, I agree with that 100%. I mean, very slight tangent, but that's why I'm like most excited for the test servers, because they could really test these extreme changes. So I think that's gonna be hype. But yeah, solo self-found, I think it would work very well in Dark and Darker. I think the pace is there for the game as well. Like how progression works in this game, how you're constantly losing items as well. Like it's a full loot game. So I think solo self-found it's its own like artificial content maker. And I love the challenge. Like, I don't know, right now, at least with how the maps are laid out, how progression works, you could run a normals once, take that 100 gold, run HR, sell those items, and then you're at an endgame kit basically. Maybe like run HR like 3 times, cheese your way into Inferno. Maybe like, I don't know, rat around for a bit, but you could get
one good
very
run,
nice kit.
I see your point. One good run, you can get out with 600 gold of sellables from HR. And like if you spend 7 hours in the market, you can get a gear set for sure.
Yeah, the trading post makes that end game very, very quick. It's just like you're skipping like essentially the entire like progression loop of the game. So I think solo self-found would be an excellent experiment, especially like really straining the drop rates. Because right now, I mean, I don't know. We've done some bosses, HR normal bosses, and the best loot still comes from the trading post. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, the best stuff.
Best
like, it's so rare that I get a piece of gear in raid that I'm like, I like this. But like if it's just solo self-found, that's all I got. So like when I do get that piece, it's like the holy grail of fucking gear. I'm like, oh dude, I got the 5 magic power green mystic vestment. That's my bis, baby. We're saving that for that's my Sunday best. And I love that.
It'll bring out some of that build diversity too. I mean, we had that discussion earlier, but like if you're forced to build your class like based on your gear, maybe you get like a bunch of magic power, magic damage gear as a fighter. Maybe we're gonna bring out the crystal sword this time. We're just gonna roll with it. So it brings that kind of forced diversity, which I think the game needs.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. I do. I wish Iron Mace would just take more risks. It feels like the past few months they're just like I know they're doing hard work behind the scenes, but from the consumer perspective, it just looks like from us looking in, they're just like twisting knobs and dials and balancing. A lot of the stuff that they're doing right now is balancing and like changing things. I wish it would take a big risk. It's really switch things up. Like boom, solo self-found league. Boom, no trade league. Boom, we're doing duo crypt map, or we're doing 5-man ruins maps, or whatever it is. Just like, or we're doing unique items on the jack-o'-lantern. Let's take some risks. Let's be brave, Iron Mace. Let's shake it up a little bit.
If they go the solo self-found route, do you feel like they need to tweak the value of the items that the merchants give you? So when you sell to the merchants, like stuff is worthless, right? That's why people go into trade. So I go into trade 85% of the time just to sell stuff. I buy very rarely. It's probably 4 or 5 to 1 ratio. For every 4 or 5 items I sell, I might buy one thing. I buy almost everything from the merchants, or I kind of have my own mini version of solo self-found going on most of my characters right now, because I can't stand the wait in the trade chat. So do we feel like the merchants would need, and maybe the quest system takes care of this, right? With the affinity and gaining favor from the merchants, do we see a scenario where you're actually getting a fair value price from a merchant? Not what you would get on trade, obviously, from other players, but do we feel like the merchant prices need to be buffed a little bit for gear? For
Like
gears, but
buying
not
or
for
selling.
not stuff that you would sell to the collector, by the way. So collector, I
Okay.
think is fine, but if you sell a sword to the right merchant, so you're going to sell it to the weaponsmith, as long as it's not a crystal sword, then do you feel like they should be giving everyone better prices?
I've been saying that for a while actually. I feel so bad like getting a blue weapon from a blue halberd in your inventory. Like I'm not gonna use it. You go to sell it to the vendor. Like I'll give you 8 gold for that thing.
Right.
Or some
Right.
I'm like bro, this is 10 inventory slots.
Exactly.
I have a 0.7 gold per slot like value. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
And it's like a noob trap too, because like I say you're a newer player in the game, you don't know the value on things. You're like,
I know.
blue halberd, oh, has to be worth something, right?
Right.
No, it's not. The armor
Yep.
smith, the websmith, fuck you, dude. You're not. He's scamming you. I think one small quality of life feature that I would love to see that I think Reed is good does. Grid's good shit, by the way, but something they do some quality of life stuff very well. In game, crazy, right? While you're in game, right? You could scroll over an item and it tells you what the vendor will buy it for before you extract. It tells you the
Ooh.
value of an item. It's crazy. It's this foreign concept that no other game has ever thought of before. And if we can't have this in our game because our game's hardcore. No, but I think I would love to just be able to scroll over a ruby and be like, this ruby sells for 17 gold, so I know like what I want to extract with. I don't want this broken diamond. I want this blue rapier. This blue rapier sells for 20, whatever it is. Give the players the information so they can make the right choices. I keep doing tangents, but
Yep.
it is
No,
really
like
annoying
it.
and frustrating.
I
Yeah,
agree with
these are
I
good
like it too.
tangents.
I think Iron Mace could do a version of that where they could stick in line with what I feel like their original vision was, which is, immersion. There's a reason we don't have hit markers or hit point deduction, hit counters, whatever those are called. Like Greed is Good has, when you hit a player, you don't know how much damage you did unless you hit the training dummy prior to going into the game. But what if there's some middle ground where once you sell an item and you know what the value that the merchant gave you was, then all of the items that are like that one you would know in game by mousing over. It's like, oh, I've sold this before. I know that I get 2 gold for it. But if you haven't discovered, so it's basically a discovery type of system, right?
No, that's perfect.
I'm going to be Dark and Darker's advocate here and say we don't need that. There's such a limited quantity of items. You learn very quickly that the merchants don't want anything except sellable treasure. I don't even feel like that's a new trap. It's like,
but
it's,
we're in a world where we buff that. Say we buff sellable weapons and stuff, things that give them some value. But then on top of that, having like the appraisal, whatever skill, whatever it is. But after I've sold a blue ruby once before. So now when I scroll over that in game, I know what it's worth because I've already dealt in these shady items or whatever.
Right? I'm going to disagree here. I feel like that's arbitrary, but I do think that when we get quests, because of like Arcane mentioned with reputation, they already said that we get more things to buy and better craftables or what have you. So eventually, like we are going to be in line for the solo self-found, and I'm super on board with that. I don't think it should be forced onto anybody. I think let's do it on the test server, and then you can do over the course of a 3-month season, we can have your normal mode, which is everything we do now, and then you can also have an SSF, and then the SSF gives you another adventure point track. And so you have your regular adventure point track that most, like 100% of people will use, and then you'll have your little SSF track where, it's probably going to be, I doubt you'll run into like full lobbies very often in a, HR environment all day, every day. But at the end of that season, you get like a little bit more rewards onto your account. And so that would give us more of a reason to grind over the course of 3 months, both normal mode and SSF. But I think inherently SSF is way more dangerous than most people think. And it will be way less popular because your casuals are going to die and they're going to have nothing and they're not going to be able to buy anything ever. And so they're just going to get ground into dust by people who have time and just multiple gear sets. And I feel like your SSF players that want it now, we're just going to see the Reddit complaints amplified. Like I was playing SSF, I had my best gear, took me 6 hours to get it. I'm dead, I have nothing, I can't buy anything, I'm never playing SSF again. That's how I feel like a lot of people will operate. Because in PoE you get like 1,000,000 items. It's not that big of a deal. You're not getting full loot PvP'd every single match. But I do think
I play hardcore SSF, so it is permadeath. So you do die and lose your entire kit. But I do see your point.
Yeah, like it's already a hardcore game. I think you throw SSF on top. Like it sounds like a good idea, but I think a huge portion of our population is like, if we had SSF, people would have less gear to kill us with, and like that's just not going to be the case. People who are geared are going to be geared anyway.
I mean, I see what you're saying,
Yeah,
but I feel like the people who would complain about getting stomped in SFF are the same people who are also already complaining about getting stomped by people in legendaries. Like I don't think the problem changes. I think there will be people that are good that have gear on that beat up on people who don't have gear and that aren't good. And that's gonna happen whatever game mode you have. But I do think SSF would close the gap at least slightly, and I think it would create a fun game loop if nothing else.
yeah. Like let's try it for sure. I'm curious to see what the population would be on test server.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
Do you guys, or like, to your best estimate, how many people, or like what percent of the player base is a Trailblazer and spent the 50?
Not me.
Honestly, I feel like at least 25% because a
I
lot of
was gonna
people
say
wanted to
25,
support Iron
yeah.
Mace.
About
Yeah.
25% sounds about right to me.
Okay, and these are like really, really dedicated players. So do you think like there's going to be any issue with the data that comes out of the private testing server opposed to like the grand player base? Because if we did like, if we tested SFF on the private server, it's going to be a very different crowd than who it's going to affect.
Mm-hmm.
So if I
Right.
was doing SSF, I wouldn't do that in the test servers. I think the test servers should be for like balance things, like checking mechanics. Oh, we have a new spell. Let's see how this works. Oh, we're gonna try this new fire mastery buff. Let's see if it's working properly. Oh no, it's not. Our game shit. But
Okay. I actually agree with Ken here. I think if we're gonna do SSF, like now that you mention that, Ryan, it probably would be hard to get statistics from it because people aren't gonna want to go onto the test server. Then they have to try SSF. Then you have to hope you get full lobbies, which you probably never will. And so at that point, maybe it needs to be more like what Ken's saying, and we do. This weekend is the SSF League, and now like everyone just plays the SSF League on live servers for a weekend. That would be a way better test pool. And I didn't even think about the fact that only Trailblazers got test server access. I even though we bought that, I feel like everyone should have access to the test server. Like we're testing the game for them and giving them suggestions. Like why
you can
would
even
we pay
do
for that?
so, like hypothetical, right? Even like so, okay, boom, wipe or new patch wipe just happened. Okay, it's a month-long wipe. What if like the first week, first 2 weeks SSF, but then trade unlocks the last 2 weeks? So like you have a week or two of SSF where you build up some stuff, you get the SSF experience, but then week 2, week 3, towards end of wipe, traders unlock, and then all the trader players get to have their fun too. And like you got all the data at the beginning of the wipe, which is when you want it anyway for an SSF league.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like the best of both
Hmm.
worlds. Just like as a middle ground, maybe. Just like a hypothetical.
Yeah, 2 weeks sounds like a long time. I feel like 3 days, but
Well, whatever number.
That's a good idea,
I'm
yeah.
gonna throw out numbers. So
yeah,
whatever,
okay,
whatever you want.
yeah.
Ryan, what are you looking
So-
forward to the most out of all of this in the roadmap? Next month, could be next week, next month, next year. What are you looking forward to the most?
Oh man, so one thing I didn't throw on the video because it's only been, I don't know, it's been very lightly touched. It might be incorporated like way down the line in the talent tree system, but multiclassing.
Yeah.
I think that's
Okay.
I don't know. It's just like such a cool idea. And with that kind of variety in the game,
Dangerous.
yeah, you don't even got to worry about balancing because it's going to be impossible, right? You just like pull all the stops out. So I think that'll be really fun. I think it's going to make some really cool builds. It's going to be very chaotic. I'm sure it's going to get solved in like a matter of days, but I think the cool things that people do with multiclassing, it's like, it feels like a fresh game, it feels like a new game. But of course, that's like way, way down the line. Like I'm pretty sure when they bring up the talent tree and training system, it's not going to involve any kind of cross class for at least a year.
So to elaborate on that, what would you what would you like a multi-classing system to have? Like how would you want multi-classing to work?
So I don't play much D&D. I know it pulls from D&D. It's a very D&D term, but I think multiclassing should be, you could literally build up any perk. You could like put XP towards any class perk or any class skill. Maybe it'll be like a lower cap to when it's like if you're actually that class natively. So let's say if we go fighter and you want to get like, I don't know, blow of corruption, maybe the max you could train that to is like 70%. But I think any class should have any access to any class skill. That'd be my idea of
Oh, the
multiclassing.
skills. Okay.
But
Skills,
Yeah,
limited.
we were talking
perks.
about it last week. We are saying maybe you can get a perk from any class,
Mhm.
which sounds also crazy. But if we go to skills would be insane. I would go nuts with different skills. If I could have spell memory 1, and I don't even know what else I would use. A fucking barbarian life siphon that would work on my fireball probably.
How about
That'd be
magic
crazy.
missile? Now you're back to full health.
Exactly. No, but dude, think about the burn proc on fireball though, dude.
Oh,
The
splash
the
too.
dot, yeah,
Mm-mm.
crazy. Dude, intense focus earthquake.
Oh my god.
Oof.
So in
That kind of stuff I
D&D,
want.
Yeah, you used to have to pick. So the first D&D character I ever played was a fighter cleric magic user. And it took forever to level that character, right? Because as you gain EXP, you have to choose, at least in this edition of the game, it's like, all right, I'm going to be a level 1 cleric, and then when I hit level 2, I'm going to put that in my cleric. When I hit level 3, I'm going to put that in my cleric, and then at 4, I'm going to put 1 level into fighter and basically start to round out a paladin. At level 5, then I put another point in fighter. Now I'm a level 3 cleric, level 2 fighter. And then at level 6, I finally decide, all right, now I can multi-class into wizard. So if they could figure out some way to, I mean, they're going to have to figure out how to keep the reins around this a little bit. So you can't have just unfettered access to where you could build a character that literally has, if they go to 13 classes, you wouldn't be able to pick and choose from every single one, I don't think. And Ryan, maybe that's what you were suggesting earlier. I think that's going to be way too crazy. But if it's not, if that's not what you meant, I'm sorry. But
No,
yeah,
that's what I meant. Yeah, I love
Okay.
the chaos. It was definitely going to be broken. It'll be 100%
dude,
broken.
that would be insane. But yeah, if you had to make the decision, this is what would be really cool, I think, with the way this game works and the wipe cycles. Like for this character, you have to commit to which other class you're going to multi-class with. So as a cleric, I get to choose up to 2 other classes that I want to multi-class in, and then I get a limited amount of points that I can contribute or pump into those. And then if I want to do something different, sorry, I got to start another character. So then I could build a warlock, fighter, rogue, go up to 3 classes and start to dive into their perks and skills. I think that would be incredible. And it would incentivize people to build different characters and try different types of playstyles.
What's like a combination of classes that you think would be funny to play or you would be interested in playing, Ryan? Just
Oh,
like
Dude.
use your imagination, you know. Someone in chat said a ranger with Achilles strike and crippling sounds miserable. I hate the sound of that already.
actually sounds nuts.
Ranger,
in.
barbarian.
Dude, yeah, barbarian rogue would be tight. Just like double jump barbarian. I don't even know. You could probably come up with some crazy ones. If you go like maybe
Ranger with cutthroat.
ranger cutthroat.
Oh my god.
Anything with the
Ranger with
anything with a
hide.
bow would be just
Yeah.
absolutely broken. Oh yeah, or like barbarian hide with Achilles. Throw that on. Just like the ultimate landmine.
Oh, dude, I can get the cone silence from Bard on my wizard. I could silence a cleric. The cone, what's it called? What's that called? The Bard ability? Not Encore, the other one. Shred of I don't even know.
It's not dissonance, is it? It's
The dissonance, right? That's it.
is it dissonance?
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
never
dissonance,
take
yeah.
it. Yeah. Okay.
That'd be fun.
Oh yeah.
I use it a lot, but it's like hard to have your instrument out the silence and then swap to the melee and push. At that point, like they're already far enough away where they can run.
I just
think
want to
it-
double jump on a wizard. I just want to like play Quake. And just
Oh,
double
here we go.
jump around.
Yeah, we talked about this last time. Everybody just gets double jump now.
Everyone's just double jump. That's all it would be, dude. See, and that's how you know if every class team had the choice of perks, all of them would take double jump. That's how you know that double jump is fundamentally broken in the game, and you should solve it. Get rid of it.
As somebody in the chat over here said, barbarian with sprint and rage.
Oh, great,
Woo!
dude!
I hope they stack.
Dude, I can't wait to play this game, baby.
Yeah.
Woo.
Oh, I like Blow of Corruption, Smite Cleric, absolutely one-shotting.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dude,
Holy
we
smokes.
have to address how powerful haste is in the barbarian, but we're gonna let them have fucking sprint.
Wait, no, wait.
God.
Now they can sprint and slow somebody else by 30%. Good luck. That's like a 55% speed
Dude, crippling
differential.
shot. Remember throwing Franciscus at somebody's legs as a
Oh.
barbarian? Just get him out of there, dude. Oh man, that sounds interesting. I mean, honestly, I am like memeing and saying how awful unbalanced it's going to be because it will be, but I
But it'll
think
be fun as hell for a
it'll be
while.
fun. It'll
Yeah.
be fun.
I think my favorite spot of the interview, which I literally laughed out loud, is when Terrence said, "Yeah, when we get to multi-classing, like it should be fine because we already have like a pretty good idea on balance." I laughed out loud because we had just gotten the nerf where goddamn Blood Exchange was 15% HP and Achilles was 4 seconds. I was like, "Do you though? Like that shit was insane. A 4-second slow, nobody was surviving that."
There's a death sentence. It's still even at 2.5. It's like still so
It feels
strong.
so
It's so
strong.
strong.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's a
But 4
long
seconds is
time
crazy. 4
to be
seconds was
30%
crazy.
slower. Yeah. And you were healing off of it the whole 4 seconds.
God, going poison with ignite on throwing knives. So I'm just thinking about dumb stuff. And
What about you,
I-
Arcane? Like your most exciting feature, over the next let's just say year. What would you want?
It's the talent trees and by extension multiclassing. Actually, I think that's going to be cool. I'm excited for Quest, but just being able to build a character is going to make it feel a lot more Dungeons and Dragons esque to me. So that's far and away the thing I'm most excited about. Adding new classes will be awesome. Druid will be cool. I'll be most excited probably for Paladin. Although I don't know much about the Artificer or the there's another magic class that I don't have a lot of familiarity with.
Sorcerer?
Artificer and Dungeon and Dragons is like one of the coolest classes. I love
Really?
Artificer and
I've
D&D.
never
Yeah,
played
it's
that.
super cool. You're like a crafter, but a combat crafter. It's you use like trinkets and weird weapons and
Okay.
enchanted cool thing. It's a good time. It's a good time.
I think Monk could be really, really fun. But yeah, all in all, skill trees for me. Talent trees.
Monk. They were talking about Sorcerer a while ago. What happened to that? I thought they were working on Sorcerer back when they were working on Warlock. It's like, yeah, dude, Sorcerer's in the works, and we just haven't heard anything about it. Am I
think it
crazy?
got-
Did I have a dream?
No,
I
it
think
was
it got
supposed to be
shelved
next.
for Warlock.
Yeah, I think it got shelved for Warlock, and then kind of like with Druid, where they said they're having a lot of trouble figuring out how to make bear form not give you motion sickness. Probably, like at least in Dungeons and Dragons, can't Sorcerer teleport and like spell steal and such? So like they're probably just going to like I'm guessing they're going to do the easier classes first. Like maybe we get Druid and then Monk, and then like Artificer.
So
and
if I'm
Druid.
Iron Mason, I'm
Yeah.
like, let's work on the easy classes first. I would not fucking pick Druid.
Yeah, as I said, that it didn't make a lot of sense either. Yeah. Well, maybe they're gonna give us. It'll be like Warlock, right? We'll get like everything except animal transformations, and then over the next like month or two, they'll slowly figure out how to get like bear and cat form. So we'll get like a work in
A lot
progress.
of Druid fans out there, and I'm excited to see what they're cooking
Yeah.
up in there. But I've been saying it I have my concerns. I hope it's good. I hope the shape shifting it's a big step it's a big change from what we already have, which
Yep.
not a bad thing, but it is a big change, and cautious. But I'm excited.
Well, boys,
Have
we're
we,
an hour and a half plus in. Should we go to Q&A or you want to keep it rolling?
We can talk about something while we wait for some questions.
All right.
Chad, come up with some good questions for us. What about
Yeah,
that? What about that ice map?
Yeah, let's talk about the ice map while we wait
that
for the
ice
questions.
dragon.
Yeah.
Hype. So what do you? Let's how you guys talk first. What do you guys want to get from the ice map? What do you think it's gonna be?
I think first and foremost, it can't be its own queue. I think we need that. They already said it's gonna be the trios map. So now I think when you queue for trios, you either get Howling Crypts or you get ice map. Like we can't have more splitting of the queues, in my
Player base,
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, I want to stick with ice map, but now they're saying that they want to do what you guys always talked about, Nate, which is that between floors will matchmake.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you saw that one or not. They're planning on bringing back. We start in ruins, Then we take like a static red or reds to Howling Crypt, and then from there to Inferno. And you have between floor matchmaking. So now that that's like confirmed and officially going to happen, I think we would either get that or we would get Ice Map. Or maybe you have Ice Map be top layer, and then you take reds to Howling Crypt, and then from there to Inferno. So like you could kind of swap out kind of how we have Colosseum or Crypts. I feel like we would have Colosseum or Crypts or Ice Map.
Yeah, I like the idea of it not being a separate queue. I mean, I think there shouldn't be. I think you should queue for solo, duo, trio, whatever numerical squad number you want to play with. But then you could just get any map. I mean, you can get Crypts 1 through 5. You can get the Ice Map. You can get Ruins. You can even get Goblin Cave is like the one problematic one with that, because that map is obviously not designed to have people in it, like a lot of people in it, because it's so small and fucking claustrophobic and gross and disgusting. Get rid of that map. But but all the other maps you could easily fit 1, 2, 3, and it would be like a fun gameplay experience. I think you could obviously change the numbers around on some of the bosses for solo crypts and bossing and stuff. But I think you should just be able to queue for all maps at once. I think you should not have separate queues. I think it's bad for player count and bad for queue times. I think if you just queue solo, you can get solo ruins, solo crypts, solo ice, whatever it's called, solo goblin, and whatever you got is what you got. It would create diversity. It would make things feel fresh. I'm sure these solo players are fucking tired of playing the same goblin cave every game for 100 games straight, and they would love to have a 20 map diversity. I think it would keep things interesting and fun. But that's my tangent about that. But I would, for the ice map, I want it to be thematically, and we were talking about theme. I want it to be like an old, icy, dwarven city, some like Mines of Moria shit, but covered in ice, full of ice trolls and goblins and ice elementals and stuff like that would be really cool. Like lots
Frost
of blues, frost giants. Yeah,
are confirmed. I think that was part of the interview. Ryan, what were the other things you mentioned in your video? So it was it Ice Giant and Frost Giant? It's got to be Frost Giant, right? Frost Giant, and then the Ice Drake, the Ice Dragon, confirmed by Terry.
Yeah, just those two were confirmed so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like what they said about it. They said that they didn't want to release it now, like it's pretty much ready. But if they release it now, it's just, he said it's gonna feel like Crypts because they just have like skeletals and like all the shit we already have. And so they said in order to make it fundamentally feel different, they just decided as a team to push it to Christmas. I like that. Like at least that's honest. Because I think if we did get that now and it felt the same, we would be like, oh, like what is this? Like, icy crypt. So that part I like. At least like again, it was a really good interview, one of the best I've ever heard in my life from anybody in the gaming industry because it was super honest.
Yeah.
Like they just kept saying like, sorry for this. We're gonna turn dials here. We're gonna do this much more content, but we're kind of killing ourselves for it. But for those that don't know, Iron Mace is moving into a new headquarters at the end of this month and then hiring more devs on. So I think as we progress, the roadmap will feel better and better, and we'll get sort of more quality content as the years go on.
Yeah, I like Terry a lot too. I think he's a little bit critical of himself for rambling. He told One Peg explicitly to cut him off during that interview. He said, "Please cut me off." But I like hearing his thought process. I like the fact that he's willing to go into the background on what they were thinking about, what conversations were had, what challenges they had, and why things are the way that they are. Like they are very, very transparent about that kind of stuff. And sometimes he'll go off on pretty big tangents, but he always does a really good job of bringing it back to whatever the original topic at hand was. You start to piece that all together and say, oh, okay, now I know why he went off. Yeah. So, yeah, me too. Right. I'll just forget what the hell I was talking about. So questions from the group. We got one over here. What new weapons would you guys like to see that we don't have already?
We got to get the bola. Got to get it. It needs to have the spinning sound as well. I need left click to be the little fast one, and then right click to just be like a long overhead spin. You're just chucking rocks.
For me, it's already in the works. I want the wand though. I think it's already in the file. I think was in one of Ryan's videos actually before he broke it down. But yeah, a wand would be amazing, like a one-handed casting weapon that you could use whatever offhand you want with it. Like that's gonna be sick. That's mine. What about you, Ryan? What do you want to see? What kind of juicy weapons?
Oh man, well I play fighter mainly, so dude, blacksmith hammer when warhammer when.
Oh,
Oh, Warhammer, yeah.
Like I like the
Warhammer.
weapons that I don't know, hopefully counter shield play. Like make fights a little more mechanical. Like I know they don't want like every weapon to block or every weapon to like counter everything, but I wish they had more mechanical diversity in the melee weapons.
I want to be able to break shield in this game. I said it. Mountain Blade or like more, dude. There's nothing more satisfying in a game when you're just beating on someone's shield and that shit just breaks. You hit him with a couple of fireballs and that shit disintegrates, man. I want that. I know we're never gonna get it. It's too much work, but that is a feel good moment. I want to fucking break shields. Sorry.
I do like when you're on Barbarian and you have Crush and you hit their weaker shields with the War Maul. It actually staggers, like
Yeah.
they like open their guard, they're hit so hard, and you're just like, oh, like the next one's definitely gonna land. That feels really good.
Oh, I love that feeling.
Yeah, that one you're like, well, they're dead.
Like getting
about-
through a shield is satisfying. Like
Mhm.
a shield is a problem, but it's a solvable problem, and it is fun for the player playing against the shield to solve the problem. Like when I have a fighter turtling against me, it's a little frustrating. But then you get like you hit him in the ankle, you're like, oh, dude, I'm smarter. Or you like fake the head, and then you go, or you fake the leg, and you go high, and you're like, oh, dude, this is like a fun little mini game. Like
Yeah.
stuff like that is fun. But sorry,
Mhm.
that's enough about my shield rant.
What about a flail or a scythe or a pike?
Flails
there
are
some-
cool.
Scythe, yes, for sure, especially
I-
Warlock.
Dude, has there
Ooh.
ever been like a good multiplayer game where flails work though? I can't think of them because I feel like there's such a hard weapon type to code because of like the physics and like how they move. That I've
Mhm.
never seen a good flail in a multiplayer game. Like in
Hmm.
single player games, it's a little different because the net code is different. But in multiplayer, I can't think of one. And I just think it's because they're
Oh,
too hard to do.
my chat says For Honor, and yeah,
For
yeah,
Honor?
I agree with that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I forgot about that.
But flails are so sick, man. If they can make it work, flail would be a sweet addition. I would love that. All
What
right,
else we
next
got? What do you guys
question.
got from your chats over there?
This one's interesting, and I kind of disagree with it. They said that people were talking about how in solos it feels awful to build up like a really, really good kid and then just get countered by like, there's a trifecta in the game. And so just to get countered, like let's say a naked wizard just killing like a ruby silver full fighter. Do we think that there's anything that can be done to fix this? Was my question. I'll let you guys answer.
Well, I just think that one specifically, right? The fighter wizard dynamic, because
Mhm.
I'm as someone who fights many fighters and kills lots of fighters all the time. I just don't think fighters have enough choices to deal with magic damage. They don't have gearing options. Like they have some stuff they could do that they can go heavy leggings and get some magic res stuff, but like they don't have a set of gear specifically for magic res. They have dark plate, but that's it. And I've said before on this podcast that they just need a full dark plate set. Like they should have the choice to build more magic resist if they want to, but at the detriment of sacrificing armor. I think that is a good power dynamic. I think a lot of those problems can be fixed just by giving players more choices in their gear.
Mm-hmm.
That one specifically, just the fighter wizard thing.
Do you think we ever get to a point with additional stash base where people are bringing in 2 sets of gear to deal with different scenarios?
Maybe not full sets because your inventory management, like you might not have enough inventory slots to like justify doing that. But I could see a world where people bring in maybe a better chest piece, like a really good magic resist chest piece, or like a really good shield. 'Cause I know, like right now, for some fighters, like they'll go in with a like a two-handed weapon and like a crossbow, but then they'll have a shield in their inventory for when they run into rangers. Like people are already kind of doing that,
Mm-hmm.
so I
Yeah.
could definitely see a future where people do that. I'm not sure about the future that I want to live in, but I do see people min-maxing shit like that in the future for sure.
Yep. If we have dynamic bags and bigger stashes, which is apparently where we're going, I definitely see swaps being a really good idea. And I've already been swapping for mining, even just rings, just like because I mean, really, like, what are your rings of survival going to do for you if they're not perfectly rolled? But each resourcefulness is what 5% regular interaction speed. So even bringing 2, let's say, blue or higher rings of survival, you're getting like 20% faster mining. And if your only purpose is to mine, that's actually a great swap. And it's
Yeah.
instant when you swap jewelry. I've had
Right.
people ask, if I see a wizard or a warlock, if I bring in like will swaps, like it could work. It's just really risky, and you're amplifying how much you're gonna lose.
It's just not worth it. I just don't think the
Yeah.
juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you're gonna put on your magic res set just to still get 2-shot. Like, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, but I feel like I like the trifecta of the game, and in the case of, let's say, PDR versus wizard, the crossbows hit hard as fuck. So at that point, you just have to land your shots.
As a wizard
And
player, I'm getting shit on by fighters more than ever.
yeah,
More than ever. If I get hit
or
by a crossbow, it's
strip
over.
armor, and sprint, and like try to like get in. I don't know. It's
Mhm.
hard because I mean wizards do a lot of damage, and if they're naked and chasing you, like sometimes that is GG. But I think more often than not, they're gonna get cut down on the way to you. They're gonna get cut down by crossbows, like any number of things. So I think that's fine actually.
I got a
And
question over here
also,
about the. Go ahead. Sorry, go.
the only thing I was going to say, if you bring that guild of gear in, you should be in HR. And typically in HR, you're not going to run into a lot of nakeds because the monsters do so much damage that the nakeds can't really survive HR. So
Yeah.
I do like that part. Go ahead.
New player experience. So Tough Gaming over here is saying, love the game, not great at it yet. Do we think the new player experience is going to improve in the future? Ryan, I really like this about your video. It was one of your parting comments. I thought you phrased it really well, and I'm probably going to butcher it, so correct me if I'm wrong here. Basically, you were talking about how adventure points and high roller in the ranked system or progression system they're going to have, I think the term used was alleviate pressure off of the normal lobbies. And I completely agree. I think this is going to be a massive game changer and win for the casuals and the new player base who just wants to go in and play the game. They don't want to be part of the grind. Do we all feel the same way, or am I missing something here?
I want the new player experience to be better. I don't think it's going to be until we change the amount of gear you can wear in normals. I don't think new players get frustrated when they die to players they get outplayed. I don't think that's like a point of frustration. I think the point of frustration is when a new player comes in and they die, they lose, whatever. Then they spectate and they see who killed them, and then they're wearing all this gear. And even if they did get outplayed, which could have happened, right? But they're
Sure.
like, what could I have done? They have so much gear, they're stat checking. Like, I'm a new player, like I'm not that great, and they have this huge gear advantage on me. That is like the point of frustration. And I think until we have lobbies where like gear is in a sense equalized, I don't think you want like super equal. I think once you have white gray rarity lobbies, I think that would really help the new player experience. I don't think people get mad at losing. I think they get mad at not having the option to win. And I feel like that's what the new player experience is right now for players who don't have gear to compete with people who have gear. And there is no place for those players right now because high roller is so lame that people who normally play high roller, like me, are playing normals, which sucks for the Timmies because sometimes they are innocent bystanders. I try to spare the Timmies as much as I can when I can, but sometimes they don't comply, and you gotta put them down. And I feel bad. I really do, because I'm like in this very weird spot where I feel bad killing Timmy players, but I also hate high rollers so much that I don't want to play it. And I feel like if gear was equalized in the normal level, it would solve a lot of problems. But I've said this ad nauseum. I feel like the new player experience is in a very bad spot, and it really should be addressed. And I think they know it's a problem. I don't think they know how to solve it yet, though. I don't think MMR is
You
the
don't
answer.
think the new system solves it then? I think that's what I'm hearing. You don't think
I think it
HR
will. It
progression
will help
solves
a
it?
it'll help a non-zero amount, but like it'll be a drop in the bucket.
Ryan,
I
counterpoint? Sorry, Josh, go
I
ahead.
mm,
Yeah.
no, go ahead, Ryan.
I think it depends. So we don't have the full picture yet, but if adventure points are strictly only earned in HR, so earned and lost in HR, I think they'll bring a lot of the sweats over. Like I think it'll be a noticeable amount because right now people are bringing in their like demons, glees, and folgers into normal lobbies, and that's because gold at this point is the most valuable currency. If they made adventure points more valuable than gold, because like right now they frame it as some cosmetics will be locked behind adventure points or status, may be worth more than the gold value, I think that will, that will alleviate the pressure. That will force people essentially to go into HR. But yeah, I think the picture that we have right now, I think it'll help. I think it'll help for new players. But going off of what Ken said, they should definitely have a separate game mode that is not profitable, so not attractive to anyone else besides new players. And I don't think there should be a cap on normal lobbies. I think they literally just need to make like a completely separate game mode for absolute noobs. Like white gear is the max you could bring in there. You're gonna make like 10 gold to run, 20 gold to run max. Like just make it absolutely like a waste of time for anyone else. Like the main goal of that mode should be to learn the game. Because when they did do gear cap on normals, people were like, okay, we're still making a lot of money in normals. Let's just get the best blue kit we could put together. And it got to a point that like blue kits are worth more than almost anything else. Like, it shook the economy.
Yeah,
Well,
I like that idea.
I think you have to be able to make money because, like, sure, the new players would play that game mode, but they need to be able to get something out of it. Like the new players have a limited amount of time, and if they're getting at best 20 gold lobby, that's crazy. I think like if you just even with the normal loot table, if normal lobbies were just capped at white gear, the fights would be fun, long, interactive, and even when you lose, it's a good fight. And I would play that game mode too. And I think a lot of people would just play it just because it's fun. And I think the new players would have fun even if they are winning or losing. I think I don't know. I would love it. I would think it would be so much fun. And then if you want to put gear on, you're in high roller with the rest of them like that. And I think you would have like a pretty even split. I think it would be like 60-40 kind of thing, where like 60% of your player base would be playing white grays most of the time. And then you would have like 40% of people playing HR with green plus gear. I think it would be pretty good. I don't know. I gotta stop ranting about this. So
No, those are all
like
good
it. Yeah,
points.
those are good points.
Didn't feel like a rant at all. I agree with both of you. I think that it is maybe way more than a drop in the bucket, as Ken says. That more can be done. I like the idea of a white gray lobby. I mean, I'm always personally been an advocate of a PvE only mode to really give them a chance to learn. And it drops up to green, and then they just go farm for greens, and then they come into the real world and they fight everybody else. And people will get sick of being in like the PvE only mode. At some point, it'll mostly be a place to learn. But as far as what's coming, yeah, I think with an MMR bucket, especially like Terrence said, it's mostly focused on making sure that new players play with new players. That I think already helps the issue immensely. And then if we have the thing is when the leaderboards are out, a lot of the sweats, including me, just go leaderboard. We're in there for a huge amount of time. And now that we don't have a leaderboard, everyone's just in normals because like why sweat? Because we know we're gonna sweat next week for like the leaderboard and the adventure point system. But I think the goal for Iron Mace is to make it like Ryan said, where it's all season. And so the leaderboards, if you looked at the mock-up, were based on your adventure points per category. And so at that point, if it's all season long, then your sweatiest players will be in there all season long just to make sure the little numbers in the leaderboard are higher than everybody else's. And so I do feel like it'll be a lot more than a drop in the bucket because new players will be in their own brackets and they'll be in normals, and the sweatier players will be adventure point grinding and leader point grinding.
MMR just scares me. I've played many games in my lifetime. I played many games like MMR. I played like League of Legends, Valorant, Counter Strike, Dota. I've never seen an MMR system that hasn't been abused. Not one. Like even these AAA titles, if there is ever an MMR system, there are people who will abuse it. There are people who will spend their first 3 days of the season just dying on repeat to tank the MMR so they could go in with the Timmies and still stomp them. It's such a gameable system. It might be good. It might be fine. I could be a doom and gloom over here, but I've just never seen an MMR system in any game that hasn't been abused by the masses. And the lower end players and new players, the new player experience usually are the ones who pay for it. And it's always been sad to watch. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But yeah, I'm scared.
I mean, I'm with you on that, and I think an effective way to incorporate MMR would be essentially having a very low barrier to high MMR. So have like basically two buckets. Like MMR is just split down, maybe not the middle, but like have the absolute noob matchmaking and then everyone else. And to get to that point where you're in the everyone else MMR, maybe do like, I don't know, a couple extractions. Maybe if you get like a handful of PvP kills, you're already there. But
Maybe.
the
Yeah,
absolute
yeah.
noobs that
Yeah,
they're
I like
suffering
that.
right now. Like I was watching some people play, just like random streamers who are just like picking up the game, like, oh, I'm gonna try this out. It's brutal. Like they're going like 40 games, no extractions, getting constantly run down. I don't even know. I guess I should definitely like clarify some of these servers were like not USA servers. They're like OC, and things are just like rough out there. I can't see new
I don't
players
know,
enjoying the
though.
game right now.
That's how it always was, though. Like when we all started, even for the very first weekend, every player died to PvE the first like 50 raids, and we were like, "What's going on here? Like this is awesome." And now, sure, everyone's PvP skills are better, so that's gonna make it a lot harder. But I don't know. It's like when I started playing Tarkov, like dying is part of it, and then like at least for me, I'm like I want to be that person that's killing me. And so there has to be. It can't be too hardcore, but I think like what you said, if it's 2 buckets and the one bucket is just if you haven't extracted 25 times, you're with all of them. And if you have extracted 25 or more times, you're with everybody else. Then that makes sure that the new players have their own lobbies. Even if it doesn't fill, at least they can learn the game because they're probably going to die to PvE
So
anyway.
here's like a small related question that Katie had.
Mhm.
What do you guys think about like an optimal insurance? But I know insurance is scary. Scary. We've all played Tarkov. It could be a problem in this game, but for gear under a certain rarity. So like
Hmm.
very low end gear, like your whites, grays, maybe greens. Greens I'm a little concerned on. But like undesirable gear that's not of high value, gear that only new players would use could be insured. So they're when they are losing, when they are like being the punching bag of the game, they're not losing as much as other people. They have the option to save their gear. I think that's an interesting idea. It could help. I don't think it would affect anybody else. It would only help new players.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yep. Yeah.
Or
If we
allow
just
us
said
to gold sync.
non-magical.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or gold sync to be able to build up your base kit. So for 100 gold, you can go from the shitty 20 weapon rapier to start with to like 22, and then for 300 gold, that can go to 24. So eventually, like most players, once they've sunk in
Oh, yeah.
500 to 1,000 gold, they're always coming in whites because like most people aren't going to pick those up. And for those who haven't bought that, you're like, oh sweet, a free set of whites. Like it really only helps the lower echelon of players to make sure that everyone's base eventually is white.
I like that
W
too.
Katie. I think that's a dub.
Dub. Common
more?
Katie dub.
Common Katie dub, dude. Hot Katie take. Any more questions before we wrap this up? We've been going for almost 2 hours.
I know.
Mhm. It's a big update. Christmas is
flies, dude.
huge.
Yeah.
Making
Yeah,
up for
next
last
week
week.
is huge.
Yeah, next week. Well, what's the date of the patch? The 20.
22nd.
It's supposed to be Wednesday night in the States,
Oh.
we think. I'm counting on it being out by Thanksgiving lunch on Thursday.
Is it on Thanksgiving? Wait, when's Thanksgiving?
They said the 22nd GMT, whatever that
Like,
means.
All right, I'm gonna be honest. I
November
don't know.
22nd
When's Thanksgiving,
GMT.
chat? When is Thanksgiving? Is it
Next
22nd?
Thursday.
23rd.
Holy.
23rd.
Yeah, horrible timing.
All right.
Common Korean L.
Korean L, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. It's
Well,
perfect. Got a
fuck
full
that.
weekend.
Dude,
Oh,
what
That's the
time is
biggest holiday in America.
Dude, what
and-
time's the patch?
come on.
It's GMT. Maybe a GMT o'clock. Oh well. All right, you have any more questions before we wrap this one up, boys? Any chatters?
All right, for everyone's chat, who's taking that day off? Like, if you were going to work and you heard that it was going to wipe November the 22nd, are we at that level yet for this game? Like MMORPGs, is this wipe like an expansion or like a Tarkov wipe where you're like, you know what, I'm taking Wednesday, Thursday off, even
I
if it
would've done a
wasn't
half day.
Thanksgiving.
I would have done a half day.
Every day's my day off. Living the dream.
Especially yesterday.
Especially yesterday. Yeah, I was super day off, yeah, dude. Dude, I must have went like 4 hours without caffeine, so I had a really bad migraine. Just dying.
I got a question for the three of you here. Who's gonna be the one that starts the guild?
Oh, I'm
Nate.
starting a guild for
It's
sure.
Nate for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
We already talked
I-
about this.
Captain
Yeah.
Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Wizard King.
That was the fastest answer. I thought there was gonna be like some disagreement, some arguing. I was like, nah, it's just Nate. Nate's got this.
No. So I met Nate in Darkfall, and his name back then was Senpai Noob Striker, just out here murdering people. And so I ended up joining his guild because the stresses of leadership. I like to be
That's
like
miserable.
I want to be like he's capo. I want to be like a captain. You know, like us 7 report to him, and then we have below us. You know,
Yeah,
like
you
that.
want all the benefits, but none of the work. kind of
Exactly,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like Tony
sounds about right.
Soprano. You know,
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
junior.
You got it. Yeah. No, guilds are gonna be fun, dude. I'm excited for guilds. I have
Yeah.
no idea. I have no idea what the guild system looks like in this game, but I want it. That's all I know.
Yeah, I want it to be complex. If it's just like another, like, was it like friends list, like an extension of that, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be so disappointed. They gotta have like guild competitions, guild
Yeah, I want
adventure
guild
points.
quests, dude. I want guild wars.
We know with the
Oh.
private servers that if we can get access to that private server, or like we all thought about, you know, if we have the test server, there's going to be hours where the test server won't fill. So we can then choose as a community to have tournaments on the test server. So you're mostly getting people in the tournament fighting each other. And then we could do guild wars, right? Because there's friendly fire always on in this game. So if you just think 6 versus 6, all you have to do is get them together somewhere in the crypts on the test server, and then
Yeah,
be
bro.
like, okay,
Just
go.
just red lizards versus green lizards,
Red
baby.
lizards versus
I love
6v6,
it.
baby.
The Lizard
10v10.
Wars,
You know,
yes.
whatever it takes. Think about the like the YouTube content for that as well.
Oh
no.
yeah,
Like the
dude.
Great Lizard Wars, and then you just
the reptilian
endless.
rumble, baby.
Mhm.
That just writes
Especially
itself.
if on the test server we can get like a lot of games that have test servers will give you like X. Like you get unlimited level 20s and unlimited gear. Like you just go to a vendor and all gear is free. So you can you can do like 18 people in the lobby with artifacts. Like this.
That'd be fun, dude. That would be fun. All right. Any
Well-
last minute questions? I think we're running up on 2 hours here, so I'm kind of
All
jonesing to
right.
get in the game. I'll be honest.
Yeah, all this talk, not enough
Yeah.
clicking.
Guys, as usual, it was an absolute pleasure. Ryan,
Mhm.
sir, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you very much for joining us. Please do come again.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
And-
me. This is awesome.
please,
Oh, yeah.
Ryan, data mine all the quests with all their
Yes.
rewards before next week, and then put a YouTube video out. We want to prep.
Get some
It's
prepping.
like Mythic raid prep.
Out of all of Ryan's data mine videos, they have not data mined a wizard unique yet. It just doesn't exist. They are not going to make one. It is infuriating, dude. We have a stinky stick before a spell.
I heard they had some, but then they nerfed it down to purple quality.
All right, guys, we'll end on the stinky stick note today.
All right, boys.
Hold the line, everybody. This has been
All right,
episode
hold the
12
line.
of the Hold the Line podcast. We will see you guys next week, hopefully on Thanksgiving. If you guys are down, maybe we do just a quick half hour. I don't know. No?
No shot. I'm doing a
Friday?
24-hour stream on the 22nd.
All right.
World
Well,
first
glad
quest completions. All right, tune into SBS.
I mean, if
All
we
right.
do it, I will be drunk. I will be. So,
All right, fair enough.
dude, I can't survive Thanksgiving without it.
No podcast next Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving in advance to everyone. Happy Wipe Day. Happy patch number 2. And we will shoot for, at the earliest, it sounds like next Friday, but it might even be Saturday or Sunday, it seems like.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, boys.
Oh,
Give me some
GGs.
time. All right,
We'll
boys.
see you guys.
Peace and
See you guys.
love.
Jeez.